Hello, everyone, and welcome to this edition of the Michael Voris Show. I'm your host, Michael Voris. Just want to let you know before we get into the topic today, this is brought to you by our Strength and Honor, the Church Militant St. Michael's Media annual Strength and Honor. Just a little shout out to save the dates. It's August 4th through the 6th. We almost always do this the first weekend of August. It's right here in Detroit. We're just finalizing details. We'll have all of those soon for you, but just a little note. Men's conference, Strength and Honor. We have usually between 200 and 300 guys from around the country show up for this. It's always a good time, plain talk, all of that. So mark down those dates, August 4th through 6th, and we'll have details for you later. Today, of course, happy St. Patrick's Day. I don't have a green one of these, right? I had one on. But we want to talk about St. Patrick, of course, but St. Patrick gives us the opportunity to sort of break into the larger question of saints in the church, of which St. Patrick has a very near and dear place in my heart because of my Irish background. My mom's off the boat. I'm 50% Irish. I know you probably never would have guessed that. But anyway, when we talk about the saints in the church, they're really the heroes. They're the people, and let's make a distinction here. They're the canonized saints, and what that means is they are on the list, which is said canon, the list of saints who are formally declared by the church as being in heaven, enjoying the beatific vision. You don't have to be a canonized saint. You don't have to be on the list in order to be in heaven. I don't think, although they probably should be. I'd say my mom and dad should be on the list of canonized saints, but, they're not. But I have full confidence in the mercy of God that if they are not, if they are still in purgatory right now, they will be out of purgatory at some point, obviously, and on the beholding the beatific vision. But those really sort of rarefied air of saints, the ones who are on the official list, meaning there are masses, their names are mentioned in the Mass, in the Holy Mass. They have set aside feast days specifically for them. This is really sort of the creme de la creme of the Church Triumphant. How do you get there? Well, there is a heroic quality. First of all, nobody gets to heaven who isn't heroic here on earth. You got to remember here in the sort of the spill of how our own individual salvations play out. Nobody gets to heaven who does not conquer himself or herself. It's impossible. We are, because of our fallen natures, we are oriented to self. We are selfish. And it is the dismantling, the tearing apart of that for the sake of our Lord and our neighbor that somebody comes to, is admitted into the beatific vision. If you haven't done that in your life, and if you haven't trained to do it, and you don't do it on a sort of a regular routine basis, hell is what you get. A lot of people don't like hearing this, but our natural destiny is hell. We are born with original sin. We commit sins throughout our entire life. A mortal sin. And think about this. This is a really important point to consider here when we talk about getting to heaven, being a saint in heaven, is that when we commit a mortal sin, the life of the Holy Trinity departs from us. We are dead. We don't physically die, not yet, but in the soul, our soul is dead. This is why this craziness from like the James Martins of the world, for example, will say, the Eucharist is medicine. You don't give a corpse medicine. It dies. It's already dead. It won't do it any good. The soul, from a spiritual point of view, grace is now absent that soul. So you can do whatever you want to that soul, like you could do whatever you want to a corpse. The corpse isn't coming back to life, and neither is the soul. The only way to get the soul back to life, to resurrect, is to go to confession and have the mortal sins absolved. And then, this is what some people don't really understand, that soul is resurrected. A moral miracle has happened every single time somebody is absolved from mortal sin. The dead are brought back to life. The soul is brought back to life. So most people, look around the world, most people are walking corpses. Talk about the walking dead. That's the case. So you are really set aside if you're a saint. St. Patrick understood this. He, many people probably already know something of the history. He was sold into slavery, and he goes back to Ireland. Ireland was a well, almost as barbaric as it is now with gay marriage and abortion and everything else. It was a decidedly pagan, druid environment. And in comes St. Patrick into this environment, and he starts preaching the gospel at threat of his own life. And because of his solitary action, he has miraculous powers. And, we even all know the story about driving the snakes out of Ireland, for example. But while that's got the sensational air about it, really, he convinced these guys, the Druid kings and the pagans, and they were into child sacrifice and homosexuality, and it's kind of like America in the 21st century. And he was successful in not just converting, but so deeply planting the faith into the Irish people, the Irish nation, that it stayed that way for 1,500, 1,600 years. And he did it at a great cost for himself, major fasting, sleeping outside. He had a vision once. He went to, the name of the mountain right now escapes me. I'm sure if you remember what it is, please put it in the comments under the show. But he went to a mountain and he had this horrible vision of Ireland being engulfed in darkness. There was no time frame associated with it, but if there was a time frame to look at, it'd be right now. And begged and pleaded with our Lord to save Ireland, save the Irish people. And at the end of the vision, he did indeed see some great, massive explosion of light and turnaround from the darkness of sin that this nation island that he loved so dearly had fallen into. Also, remember the time frame of Patrick here. It's within roughly a century after the fall of the Roman Empire. And there are an awful lot of individual men like this. There's Boniface in Germany. There's just various, Augustine, not the St. Augustine, but the Augustine in England. Ambrose in northern Italy. All of these men are going around as individuals. They're collecting little communities around them just out of admiration and desire to sort of participate in that work and respect for them. But these men are solitary heroes of the faith. I mean, many of them, some of them were killed, but many of them sacrificed their entire life for the gospel, for the sake of the people they were preaching to. And one by one, all these various barbarian tribes that had marauded all over what we today call Europe, they settled them down. They taught them agriculture. They made them stop their kind of pagan warring ways and their destruction and all of this. I mean, Europe was really very, very dark. It was dark times when near the end of the Roman Empire, when the barbarians were, sweeping across Europe, and then after the fall. I mean, this was like village after village, attacked, the women raped, the kids taken into slavery, the men killed. I mean, this was life in the early century or two after the collapse of the empire. And it was the church that, in baptizing these barbarians, which is what Patrick did with the Druids, and the Irish kings. Everybody's descended from an Irish king. Matter of fact, there's so many kings in Ireland, there's not actually any subjects. That goes the joke among the Irish. All of these different tribes, these different groups were baptized and settled down, and over the centuries and the millennia, they developed into what we now have as the nation states. We could use a little bit more of the Patricks around right now, as well as the Augustines and all the rest of them. These are very treacherous times that we're in, spiritually treacherous times. And let's just hope and pray that the vision of St. Patrick on the top of that mountain, where he saw the great darkness engulf the nation, but saw at the end the great light come back to it. Let's hope that is more than just a nice pious legend, that that's actually rooted in a reality. The light of the gospel is being just completely extinguished today all over these former Catholic lands. And that makes it hard because people think they know what the faith is, and they don't. You're going to go preach to a pagan who's never heard the gospel before versus somebody who's heard some perverted, malformed version of the gospel. You got to kind of undo that and then rebuild. Whereas these saints, Patrick and all of them, just had to build on the gospel message. So you need to be a hero. You're going to be Catholic, you need to be a hero. Nobody gets into heaven who's not a hero, whether you're on the list, the canon of saints, or not. We just want to let you know before we say goodbye right now that we are, this show, Michael Voris Show, and all of our individual shows with Christine's Forward Boldly and Simon's Hardline, these are all going to be going premium in April. So if you'll get a little bit of the beginning of it and then ask to be switched over and finish watching the episodes on the premium channels. You just need a premium membership, just $10 a month. If you like what you're hearing here, if it helps uplift you, if you get a little kick in the pants every now and then for it, that's fine. But we have fun doing these. We do them for you, and we want you to be able to take away a little nugget after every one. Here's your nugget for this one: be a hero. That's it for this week. God love you.